Going on, everybody? What is going on? The catch fam. I hope you guys are doing fantastic today. Hope you guys have all had a great Tuesday. Hope everyone is ready for week 14 of the 2024 fantasy football season. Because boy, oh boy, we've got the Biocalypse Part 2. 6 teams on bye week this week. And man, the most crucial week of fantasy we've had yet for almost all of you. Some of you guys might be locked into the playoffs and have your number 1 or number 2 seed, but for most of you guys out there, this is going to be the most important week of the season yet. And a lot of you guys might be in the playoffs, but you might be fighting for potential bye week, might be fighting for better of all seeding, and a lot of you guys fighting to get into the fantasy playoffs. So we had to navigate this week very carefully, because like I said, we got 6 teams on bye week, and we have some like important teams when it comes to fantasy football in terms of the teams that are on bye week this week. So definitely a lot to get into tonight, a lot that we need to go over. But as always, if you guys don't feel ready, you know what we're going to do. We're going to hop into some live fantasy Q&A, whatever you guys need, start sits, ads, drops, waiver wire questions, maybe trade questions. I would assume everybody's trade deadline is over, but if you have trade questions and trades are active in your league, of course we can go over trade questions as well. So get in the live chat, know how you guys are doing. Let me know how your Thanksgiving went. Let me know what you guys are doing for the upcoming holidays, but most importantly, let me know your guys' fantasy football questions, and whatever I can do to help you guys tonight, I'm here for you. Okay. We had a big week 13, no teams on bye week, so plenty of implications boiling over from this past week, right? A wild Monday Night Football game. And let's see what we have in terms of the aftermath here. So the big thing, Christian McCaffrey going down in the snow. Every Jordan Mason owner rejoicing, and then Jordan Mason heads to IR. I mean, what a wild series of events there for the San Francisco 49ers running backs. And Isaac Arando is the next man up. But I talked about this in the start sit video for running backs. The Niners are going to have to sign somebody, and they went and they claimed Izzy off of waivers. So former Jets running back. So I mean, I don't know. He kind of actually fits the system pretty well. I would still assume that Isaac Arando is going to get the bulk of the touches here, but don't be surprised if we see more than one running back utilized here, right? But also, like, what is the Niners season at this point? They're still in the playoff hunt, and that division is like, I don't want to say wide open, but it's very open. That Seahawks Cardinals game this weekend is going to be huge for that division. But yeah, when we look at this schedule, it's like, it's not necessarily a good schedule to wrap up the year for the Niners. We got Chicago this week, then the Rams and Miami, then Detroit, then in week 18, for whatever that's worth, they play Arizona. So not a very good looking schedule here, maybe outside of the Rams. And we'll see what happens, man. But I do think that Garando is 110% worth a roster spot at this point in the season, but I would also kind of tamper your expectations, right? I don't think Brock Purdy's fully healthy. I said it all going into last week, right? It's just there's going to be a push for him to play because they're trying to save their season. So, man, what a mess and what a complete downfall. That Super Bowl loss, the slump that they talk about that happens to a lot of teams, it is 110% happening to the Niners this year. But as I said, their season is not technically over. So we may see a resurgence, but you got the Seahawks kind of humming right now. The Cardinals have been a bit up and down, but before the Seahawks were humming, the Cardinals were kind of humming. So we'll see what happens there. But man, what a disaster. We'll see. Taysom Hill's out for the season, and I got a lot of questions last week. Like, Taysom Hill over X, Y, and Z player, and I repeatedly encourage you guys to not start Taysom Hill. So I do feel good about that. At least told you guys, if you do start Taysom Hill, you still got all the risk in the world. Now, I don't like to toot my horn if a player gets injured, but you just got to understand there's always risk when we're looking at these high upside, kind of low ceiling players. Outside of that, I mean, Rashad Bateman got banged up. Bucky Irving's got the hip thing, but it looks like he's going to play through it. Baker Mayfield got stepped on, but looks like he's going to be good to go. I mean, we got Trevor Lawrence, but like we've already given up on the Jags, right? It looks like Brian Thomas Jr. can produce with either Trevor Lawrence or Mac Jones at quarterback. And Trevor Lawrence still might play this week. DK Metcalf a little banged up in last week's matchup as well. Looks like he's going to be good to go this week, but he's a player to keep an eye on. Then we got Devonta Smith potentially returning this week as he deals with that hamstring injury that's kept him out for 2 weeks. So, I mean, there are some other things going on, but nothing too major. But when we look at the bye weeks this week very quickly, then I'll start flying through you guys' questions. We do have some major impactful players. I mean, you got Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, Bo Nix, Cortland Sutton. Maybe you're starting Javonte Williams somewhere. Maybe a guy like Devon Vele or Marvin Mims has made your flex in deeper leagues. You got the Texans out, so no Nico Collins, no Joe Mixon. Is CJ Stroud to start anymore? I mean, I kept him in the borderline, the category, as I call it, last week because of the matchup. But I think at this point, like I think I'm just done with CJ Stroud. And I basically have been done for weeks. He's been matchup dependent, but he's not even coming through in the matchup. So frustrating. Tank Dell is probably not even fantasy relevant at this point either. But the Texans are on bye week. The Colts, so JT, Anthony Richardson, Michael Pittman, a non-healthy Josh Downs are out. Patriots on bye week, so no Ramondre or Pop Douglas or Drake May. And the Commanders are out, so no JD5, quarterback who I considered a must-start the last 2 weeks. No Zach Ertz, no Terry McLaurin, no Brian Robinson. So there are a lot of big-name players out here in week 14. So like I said, we need to navigate this week very carefully. So make sure you guys get in the live chat. Let me know what you guys need. And as the week goes on, going to have all of our normal content here on the channel, 12 videos every week. Last week we did 13. So we're going to keep rolling out all the content for you guys that we possibly can. And I will be streaming, obviously, tonight and then back on Saturday to wrap up the week for you guys as well. All right, let's get into it. And Pete will be joining at some point tonight, too. Ghost Hunter, hello. How are you? Jeff, BTJ, Ridley, Myers, or Dowdle in full PPR. Yeah, this is one where you got a lot of names here that I do like this week, actually. I think Calvin Ridley could have a really big week, kind of get back into the range that he was in when he was playing at more of a double-digit type range because he gets the Jacksonville Jaguars. And keep in mind, while Nick Westbrook-Akini had the big game last week, he only had one more target than Calvin Ridley, and they both play the Jags this week. So Ridley's kind of there. Like, you want that big upside play. I think Ridley can give it to you, but if you kind of want a floor, Brian Thomas Jr. is like, I have a tough time benching Brian Thomas Jr., but it is a tough matchup for him this week against the Titans. And then last week, like, he really only got the stat line he got because of, I guess, garbage time, you could say, right? But Jacoby Myers is like, I have a very tough time benching Jacoby Myers. I mean, even with Brock Bowers having this insane production, Myers still coming through on a weekly basis. Like, he's probably the safest start here. 11 targets, 6 grabs, 97 receiving yards, 15 fantasy points this past week. Like, I'm pretty high on Myers as a whole. And I mean, this might be part of your problem. Like, you feel like these are all pretty decent options, right? Rico Dowdle, the Bengals are 15th against the run, but I don't really trust them. And he's coming off a big performance. We talked about Dowdle a lot this past week. But yeah, I mean, I would say personally, I'd probably have Myers as the floor, and then Ridley if you want the upside. But I also have a tough time benching BTJ. So you got plenty of good options here. But I have kind of consistently been looking to start wide receivers against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I kind of lean Myers. I tend to be a little bit boring and take those floors, especially when there's a good matchup. But, I mean, they're all good options for what it's worth. Purple Yoda, hello. Stafford, Goff, or Love? I think, quite frankly, I'm sticking with Love. I don't want to start Goff. Goff is he's kind of close to like that Kirk Cousins territory for me. It's not as bad, by any stretch. Goff is playing much, much better, but he's not giving you the production in fantasy. Like, we got the big game against the Jags, okay? We take that away. He's had 16 or less fantasy points in every game since week 8. He's had 12 or less in 3 of those games. So I just don't want to start Jared Goff. I mean, I do think this game script between the Packers and the Lions on a short week could be one of these things where the matchup goes out the window here. Because keep in mind, the Lions and the Packers have been good against opposing quarterbacks on the entirety of the season. But with that being said, I'm like, it's just not there for Goff on a consistent basis. When you have other options that have been a little bit more productive, I will go with them. I like Jordan Love the most out of this list, even though he technically has the worst matchup. Actually, Stafford does against the Bills. But yeah, I mean, Love at least has 18 or more fantasy points in 2 of the last 3 matchups. And he was pretty efficient in week 12, although it wasn't a good fantasy day. So I would probably just stick with Jordan Love personally. Then we look at Stafford. I'm pretty low on Stafford this week. He is dealing with a lateral ankle sprain. He's coming off of a lower performance. It wasn't a bad performance. He just only threw 183 passing yards, but he still had 2 passing touchdowns. He's had 2 or more passing touchdowns in every game except for 1 since week 8. So, like, Stafford's playing fine, but he's kind of coming off of this lower ceiling game. He's got the ankle sprain, and then it's just not a good matchup against the Bills. I know the Bills just had this game that kind of gave them an advantage in their rankings this week, but they're third against quarterbacks, and like they're good against wide receivers. They're really only bad against the run. So I'm just kind of avoiding Stafford this week, and I'm just not a fan of Goff. So I'm going Love. Jeff, Otten or Hawkinson? This is a good question. I really think this could go either way. Like, I took some heat last week for not being a big fan of Hawkinson, or at least like kind of having him like in the, I don't remember if I had him like a stream or category, but like just not being as high on him than 5.8 fantasy points this past week. So you got this pattern since he's come back from injury: 5.7, 15.2, 3.3, 18.4, 5.8. He's due for a double-digit game if you go by the pattern there, and it is a good matchup. So I do like Hawkinson this week. I am I'm concerned about Otten. And by the way, with Hawkinson, I don't like him because of that pattern. I mean, that's not something you ever want to go by, but I do like him because of the matchup, right? But Otten, I've been kind of staying on the Otten train. Baker and Otten were both in the must-start video last week, and like obviously they didn't come through from a fantasy perspective. And the Bucs are running the football so efficiently right now. Like, I think that's a bigger problem than the, like, people are like, oh, the targets aren't there. The targets are there for Otten. He was tied for the second most targets on the team last week. Mike Evans number 1, and he was tied with Shepard for 7 targets. So like, that's not it. And in week 12, he had an excuse. Like, the Giants have been one of the best teams against tight ends in fantasy. This past week, he didn't have an excuse. The Panthers have been the worst team against tight ends in fantasy. So, and Pete is here.
Ooh, what's up?
What's up, bro? We're talking some Cade Otton versus TJ Hawkinson.
Neither.
Yeah, both have been a little concerning as of late, but I lean Hawkinson here. I was just going on a tangent about Otten, and they both do have good matchups this week. That's the good news, right? But so Otten gets the Raiders 30th against the position. Hawkinson gets the Falcons 21st against the position. So they're both very startable. It's just kind of, it hasn't been there for Otten the past couple weeks. But the targets have been there. So it could really go either way here. Both have great matchups. But I kind of lean Hawkinson just by a tad bit. Could definitely go either way. And I would say you're looking for high volume or a touchdown out of either. Like,
yeah.
We'll see. We're gonna get that Kirk Cousins revenge game this week, I heard.
Yeah. Are we? All right. Sure. He can't move. Can't throw.
I know. It's pretty bad. I'm not very high on, I mean, I haven't been high on Kirk as of late, but definitely not high on him this week. I don't know. I always have Sleeper pulled up so I can pull up player stats, and something's wrong. Like, I'm seeing Cam Newton and Hendon Hooker. I don't know if I click something. anyways, I'll just restart that. Should I have any Pitts Steelers player on my roster for the rematch again? Well, what specific players? You can't really look at the last time they played because it was a snow game. But yeah, I mean, there's tons of like I think Russell's stream worthy. I think Pat Farman's stream worthy. Pickens is a must start player this week. Najee's a good start. I mean, there's plenty of playable players in this matchup. Then like, I mean, I don't know if I'm ever benching a Browns player again for the rest of the season. So, um, I will say I would tamper your expectations. I would not look too much into the snow game that these two had the other week. That's not a good indication of what you might get this week. But I would also we're not going to get a Jerry Jeudy 40-point game probably ever again.
It's not a revenge game. No more revenge games. That was it, guys.
It's not to take anything away from Jeudy. He's been very good over really the course of the entire season. He's been pretty solid. He kind of had that stretch there when Watson was playing at his worst, but outside of that, he's only given you single digits 4 times on the season. So since week 8, he's been very, very good, right? Which is when did Jameis took over week 8, so that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, just about everybody here is startable to a degree. There's some players I don't like as much, but I mean, Njoku, even Chubb is startable. Yeah, I mean, why not? All right, Mikey, what's going on? Happy holidays to you. Thanks for all the help. You're welcome. Great Thanksgiving week. Good food, family time. But maybe playoffs in all my leagues. Now the real fun starts. Yeah, take this week easy. Try and spoil someone's season or get the best playoff seeding or whatever you need to do. Score the most points. But you're already secured. That's a good feeling. Vikings, Eagles, or Saints. Yeah, I honestly like the Saints the best. I think they have the most upside. Guess we don't know if it's going to be DeVito or Drew Lock, but I don't really care.
I think, yeah, DeVito, they're not going to score. Drew Lock, you're going to get pick sixes maybe and turnovers. So it's kind of pick your poison.
Yeah, both are good news for the Saints defense. Yeah, a lot of people are bringing up the Eagles. They were not on my must-start list in the defense video. I think they're a fine play this week, but the Panthers are just not this. I've said it for weeks. They're not this team that you can just start whoever against. Now, and the Eagles have been good, but they've been a little bumpy in terms of fantasy scoring. They've only had double digits 3 times since week 7. So and people are like, well, they're at home. And I'm like, well, that's fine. That does help them. But I think they're fine to start, but I don't think their ceiling is super high this week. I do like the Vikings.
But they've been so good, the Eagles did. They've been so good. So maybe
they have. I won't be surprised if they have a big week. And I could see them just kind of, the Chiefs and Bucks have not been good defenses the past couple of weeks, right? Mm-hmm. So this is a very, very different matchup for Bryce Young this week, and he's on the road. And yeah, this could turn bad. This could kind of turn this narrative a bit on Bryce Young. But I just think there's teams out there that have a bit more upside per se. So you look at the Eagles. I mean, it's been they did face the Rams and the Ravens, but they just haven't been as strong the past 2 weeks. But they did have 4 forced fumbles against the Rams for what it's worth. But they're not a bad play. They didn't make my must-start list. But I did talk about them, though. Anyways, I do like the Vikings. But when I went over the Vikings, it's I think they're kind of a floor play. It's really going to depend on Kirk Cousins. They could have a really big week, or it could kind of just be where they've been the past couple weeks, 7, 10, 11 points. But they're still a defense 1 in fantasy. So they made my list.
I think it's going to be a big week. It's going to be a big week.
Yeah, I can definitely see it. Really, there's no reason to believe that it's not going to be. People are just making up the revenge game narrative. But I've talked about this for weeks. Cousins has just not been productive from a fantasy standpoint, and now he has 6 interceptions and 4 fumbles in the past 3 games. Yeah, it's It's not
our
good.
defense been chasing around Caleb Williams and Kyler Murray the last 2 weeks. Kirk Cousins
Yeah.
feels any pressure, he is going straight down. They might have 10 sacks on
Yeah.
Sunday.
So I do really like the Vikings this week. So, and with all that being said, I'll say Vikings for the floor, Saints for upside. Eagles are fine, but they're kind of, I think they're lower than the Vikings and Saints for me this week. We'll see. All right, Armando, what's up, bro? Hill, Myers, Adams, Metcalf. I'm probably benching Metcalf right now. I mean, he's banged up. He's probably going to play. These are two other defenses that I like right now are the Cardinals and the Seahawks. They're both playing good defense right now. So I talked about benching Metcalf last week. That was one that I got right. Hill's back. Like you're starting Hill every week, you know. He doesn't have a fantastic matchup this week, but like I'm not worried about it. He'll come through, I think. Jacoby Myers a must-start player, especially against the Bucks. Adams, I like fine. I mean, I was kind of down on Adams last week, and then he scores and has 17 points. But I would rather start these guys than Metcalf right now. If I was going to bench one, it's probably Adams. But I mean, JSN's a guy there right now. So Myers or DJ Moore. Oh, man, the matchup is with Jacoby Myers, but I got a tough time benching DJ Moore right now. He's the wide receiver 3 in the past 3 weeks. And I think Keenan Allen's like the wide receiver 5 or 6 or something like that. But it's not a great matchup for them this week. So I do think they could come back to earth, but this Niners defense does not scare me.
Yeah. San Francisco sucks. They're terrible. Yeah. Season from hell is official. Like they're cooked.
Now they're much better against the pass than they are the run, and the Bills did not need to pass this past week. But like I could just see this thing just falling apart. Just 100%.
The Bears fired Eberflus. Like I put them up in my power rankings because they fired Eberflus. It's new coach theory, baby. They're gonna beat the crap out of San Francisco.
I can see it, but I'm telling you guys right now, Myers going to be one of those guys that this whole week I'm going to say start him. So this is really close. I like Keenan Allen a bit more in this matchup on paper, but I think DJ Moore is really solid this week. So that's tough. I mean, Moore's been really good. But this matchup for Myers, just he's so safe this week. So I would probably lean Myers, but it's you could argue either way, and I'm okay with it. All right, Titans, Saints, or Cardinals, D? Yeah, I'm sticking with the Saints. I'll go Saints, Cardinals, Titans. So I went Seahawks over Cardinals for the must-start list, but I like both. And I did put the Titans in there as a risky streaming option, but we don't know who's playing quarterback for the Jags. I think it's going to be Mac Jones, and Mac was not that bad this past week, so we'll find out. But they do have some nice upside. Needed your help for Monday Night Football. Needed to know Chubb or Njoku half point PPR. Do you all have a Discord? We do, but neither of us have been active on it this year. To be honest, we've just been so slammed with everything. So, our apologies on that one, Jonesy. I mean, both ended up having pretty good games, so hopefully it worked out for you either way. Obviously, Njoku was better, but honestly, like going into the game, I wasn't very high on either player. It wasn't a good matchup for either. Wasn't a good matchup for anyone.
No, just have Denver's frauds, clearly, guys.
I know.
Just fraud defense.
Well, who's the corner who was just getting burnt all night? Levi Wallace. I mean, it was just so I listened to Brandon Perna and Tom Grossi's stream while I watched the game last night. And Brandon Perna is a big Broncos fan, and it was just the best narrator you could possibly have for the game. But he was going.
I don't understand. Like Surtain would like get on him and then stop covering it. It was like just stick Surtain on him, please. He's running wide open.
Yeah, there are way too many plays where it was like the very first play of the game, he was just wide open. It was very odd last night, but you got to hand to both quarterbacks. It was fun last night. I know Bro Nick statistically wasn't great, and like had a fullback score and Javante score, but that pass to Mims was like one of the best throws I've seen this year. And he got handed to Jameis. I mean, it was fun. I mean, most Jameis Winston stat line ever.
It's a peak Jameis Winston experience.
Yeah. He's on pace for 30 touchdowns, 30 picks. All right, Ralph. Sit one, Laporta or Ingram in week 14. I mean, Laporta is like boomer bust every week. I know he had it. Like, here's the thing: he had a good week last week, but he had 3 catches and 2 touchdowns. Like, that's something that never makes you feel good. But he's got the matchup here. The Packers have been pretty soft against tight ends. They're 23rd. And Ingram's got a tougher matchup. Titans are 9th against the position. And you kind of are going to get theoretically better quarterback play out of Goff. So I'd probably gamble Laporta, but it is a short week, which makes it weird. But I mean, Ingram's fine. Laporta has got more upside. Start one for the wide receiver 2 spot and one for the flex. Pickens, BTJ, Reed, Shakir, or Nick Westbrook. Okay. You got to go Pickens. Great matchup. The Browns are not good against receivers. In case you're wondering, if you didn't watch last night. I probably stick Jaden Reed here. Like, I think you got to start Jaden Reed this week. I mean, this is kind of the same argument. He had 2 touchdown catches off of 3 targets, same thing as Laporta. But it's a great matchup. The Lions have been soft against receivers. They're banged up right now. Short week. Yeah.
No, I mean full week. They both played on Thursday.
That's true. You're right. It is a full week.
So it'll be a good game. It'll be actually a good game on Thursday.
Yeah. And I really think this could be one of these games where it could be like Monday night. I mean, maybe not that extreme, but I think defense could go out the window here. So
it's make it or break it for both these teams.
Yeah, big game. I like everybody you have listed, but I would have those 2 in my lineup. All right, Russell Wilson or Goff. I'm going Russ. I got no interest in Goff. I know we just talked about that matchup, but the production has not been there. And we talked about this at the very beginning of the stream. Like, this could be a matchup where it ends up being good for Goff, but like he's had the one big game against Jacksonville and 16 or less points in every week since week 7 outside of that. I mean, it's too inconsistent. So, I mean, Russ has been a little bumpy, but I'd probably rather start him. But Goff is fine. If I can't get Garando, which running back should I start? Spears, Mostert, Akers, Vidal. Oh. Henry and Mixon on bye. You're going to have to start Warren.
Oh, yeah, Mixon. Oh, yeah. I had Mixon Bengals in my head.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that happens. It happens. Yeah, Warren is at least startable. You better hope you get Garando. The rest of these options suck.
Yeah.
I mean, me trying to, like, your guess is as good as mine here. I mean, Spears is banged up. Mostert hasn't been doing anything. I kind of leaned Cam Akers, but I have no idea why.
He doesn't play. Like, it's so frustrating. When he comes in the game, he's good, but he doesn't ever come in the game. Even with Aaron Jones, like, mopey and pouty, doesn't. I don't know. It's so weird. Like, Vikings were dead. Cam Akers comes in, chunks off a 17-yard run. We don't really see him the rest of the game, but it swung the game back in the Vikings' favor. It's so stupid. And the Chargers, without J.K. Dobbins, cannot run the football. It's insane.
Yeah, it's got to be Mostert or Akers. Like, I mean, you're not looking at a lot here, but they have scored the most points out of this bunch in the past couple weeks. So, I mean, it's one of those 2, but like any of these guys could outscore each other. This is not a good scenario. Sincere McCormick out there for the Raiders? Like, he might be an option if Abdullah and White are hurt. Crazy for considering Myers over Lamb. Yeah, I don't call you crazy because I've already been talking up Myers tonight. I think you are, though. Like, I think I would definitely still want to start CeeDee Lamb. But the only thing that concerns me about Lamb this week is he's got a new injury, and He's expected to play, and he has been playing through injuries, which is a good sign. But come on, he plays Cincinnati. Like, I mean, I'm probably sticking with Lamb, but it's the Monday night game. So, like, if the injury becomes a thing and then he's out, then you miss out on Myers. So that's kind of what you got to consider here. Yeah, Gus said, I don't think it matters what scoring format. That's so rough. Start Love or Russell. I'm sticking with Love. But Russ is fine. R.I.P. Taysom Hill. Yeah, moment of silence. Although we
no, wait, whoa, so sad. Oh no.
We told you guys to sit him last week. But you can't get excited about injury, right?
The Saints are terrible on offense without him. It's kind of the most insane thing ever.
Except for MVS. The GOATs. Start the Vikings or the Hawks. I still lean the Vikings just because I believe in that defense. But I do like the Hawks a lot this week. I liked them last week. I wish I talked them up more. I think they're very solid, but like I'm sticking with the defense one and going up against a quarterback who has almost 10 turnovers in 3 weeks. All right, Forever Eagles, what's going on? Looking to pick up Isaac G from the waiver wire. Who should I drop? Chubb, Etienne, Brown, Ferguson, MVS, Darnold. Got Mahomes. Noah Brown or Etienne. Probably just Etienne.
Yeah. On principle, no Jaguars running backs ever.
Yeah, I mean, we've been over them for a bit now. Like, Noah Brown's a little banged up, and you're never gonna trust Noah Brown, and he's on bye week, and he's got some good matchups outside of Philly to wrap up the year, actually. But yeah, probably just ETN. Just replace him with a running back that will have production theoretically. Can Izzy take over as RB1 in San Fran as a better pass protector and RB talent than Garando? I mean, it's tough to say. I liked Izzy coming out of college, but I mean, he didn't make it with the Jets, but obviously they have their own depth on that team, right? And Breece Hall's there, and Braylon Allen's not bad, and all that. But I think it's kind of tough to say. Is he more talented than Garando? Is he a better pass protector? I mean,
they like Garando a lot, I think.
Yeah, Garando scored last week, right? And he scored earlier in the season too, at least once, which not a lot to feed off here, but I'm not going to get that excited. I did talk about this earlier in the stream, and before Izzy got signed, I talked about in the running back video, like they are going to sign somebody, which can always impact things, but I'm still hedging a bet on Garando, but who knows? Honestly, this team is cursed. Andy Reid and the Chiefs did something to them at halftime or right before overtime in the Super Bowl. Big Lou, what's going on? Geno, Kyler, or Herbert? I do think Herbert's going to bounce back, which it's not tough to bounce back from last week because last week was awful. But prime time, the Chiefs are giving up the 23rd most points to quarterbacks. They just made Aiden O'Connell look good. But I think I'm taking a chance on Kyler this week. I think I am. You take away the interceptions last week. He wasn't that bad, but
he had one bad late interception and like the last play of the game interception.
Yeah,
it was kind of
he probably would have had 20 fantasy points even if you just take away the one pick. So
they're so bad in the red zone. Like the Cardinals should score a ton more points.
Yeah, it's something's still off there, and I do like the Seahawks defense.
Throw it to McBride. They never throw it to McBride in the red zone. Just throw it to McBride. We need a receiving touchdown. He has 0 receiving touchdowns this year. It's crazy.
I think he has. I was going to say maybe one, but yeah,
it was a rushing touch. It's a one rushing touchdown.
That's right. It's a rushing touchdown. Yeah, that's baffling, right? Even it's like Greg Dortch and Michael Wilson, I feel like deserve some shots in that area too. It's just like honed in on James Conner and Marvin Harrison Jr. and that's it. But yeah, I think I'm sticking with Kyler, but I think Herbert will bounce back this week. I have no interest in Geno, just none. Are the Cowboys defense a good option for the fantasy playoffs? I mean, they've been like really matchup dependent, and that's why you're kind of seeing them spike as of late. Like they played um really well against the Commanders, so I guess it's not really matchup dependent, but that game was just really weird, right? They gave up
Two,
400 and
bring back 2
412 total
kicks.
yards, yeah, and 26 points, and still had 24 fantasy points. So then last week, like they played, Drew Lock, right? I mean, they get Carolina, Tampa Bay, Philly. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say
No,
no.
yeah, those are all good offenses, especially Tampa Bay. They can run the football. They will just pound the rock against them.
Yeah, and Dallas is still playing really bad against the run. Really bad against the run. And like, yeah, you're gonna start them on the road against Philly in the fantasy. No way, in the fantasy
No
championship.
shot.
Yeah, they get Cincy this week. Like, no, I think they're scrapped for the season. Yeah. Pick one. 4-point passing touchdown. Darnold, Geno, Jameis, the Goof, or Cousins. It's Darnold. I'm so tired of defending Sam Darnold.
Sam the man, baby.
Yeah. I know that Pete is a Vikings fan, but that's not why. Like literally, I mean, Sam Darnold is the QB8 on the season, right? And he has 17 or more fantasy points in every game except for 3 on the season. I mean, he's just been great,
Last 3 weeks, 8 touchdowns, no interceptions, 800 yards passing, 4 through the or 7 through the air, 1 on the ground.
Yeah.
It's
And
good. Just good.
Atlanta is not good. Yeah, they're good against the
Good.
run. That's it, So I'm probably just riding Darnold till the season ends. And he probably gives you the best touchdown upside here. Now you got Jameis. Like, I mean, I've been a little low on Jameis, admittedly, and all that, but I'm taking the floor here with Darnold, easily against the Falcons. Dropping more Amari to get Garando. Yeah, I don't think Amari needs to be rostered. If Amari pops off, so be it. But this offense, like they're a very unique offense. They really don't need a lot of production out of their receivers. I don't really know why Amari's there, but he's there. I don't know why Deontay Johnson's on the Ravens. I don't know why Mike Williams on the Steelers, but those were exciting trades when they happened. Who do I pick up to replace Stroud and possibly start over Baker if he doesn't play? Levis, Jameis, Caleb, or Russ? I do think Baker's going to play. I'm not worried about that. You can drop. I'm just done with Stroud. I'm done with Stroud. If you can't get it done against the Jaguars, then I'm done with you. And I know we just talked up Sam Darnold, but who had a bad game against the Jags. But I mean, Stroud has 14 or less fantasy points in every game but one in the past since week 7. It's just been gross. So he gets Miami, Kansas City, Baltimore to wrap up. Like, not the greatest. Some okay matchups there, but I don't trust him in those matchups. Anyways, I'm probably going Caleb here. I will say it. Caleb's got a little bit of a tough schedule.
Very tough schedule.
Yeah. I do kind of like Will Levis, but like
it's fun. Will Levis is fun. It's a fun play, guys.
So the 2 strongest strength of schedules for the fantasy playoffs are Aiden O'Connell and Will Levis when it comes to quarterback, in case you're wondering. So I probably stick with Caleb here. I mean, it was a bad matchup this past week, and that showed the first half of the game when he came through, right? It was a bad matchup the week before and turned the Vikings into a bit of a shootout, right? So, and even Green Bay the week before that was a bad matchup. He at least had 16 points. So I think I stick with Caleb. Plus, like the Bears are going to try to win every single game, no matter what. Like they're trying to see what they got here. So I think I would stick with Caleb, but then I put Levis and like, I mean, once again, you want to go Jameis. I'm done being down on Jameis. You want to go Jameis? I'm good with it, but I still will kind of stand by the fact I think that Jameis Winston can come back to earth at any point in time. But he also doesn't have a great schedule. Pittsburgh, Kansas City, Cincy, Miami. Kansas City and Cincy are fine, so it's not too bad. But,
he might score 100 points against Cincy. He might score 7 touchdowns.
He might break the single game
Touchdown record, but he will also throw 3 pick sixes. So start the Bengals defense.
At least, yeah. What's going on, J-Dubs? Good to see you. Baker or Murray? That's tough because the Bucs are just like running the football so well. Like they're not needing to throw as much. And I really liked Baker last week, but he did not have a good fantasy day, to say the least. So he's a little banged up, but he's going to play. But it's a good matchup against the Raiders. So I'll say Baker for a floor, Kyler for upside. Happy Biscuits. 2 tight ends on bye for me. Need a waiver. Who would you recommend from Jawan, Kraft, Gesicki, Fant, Freiermuth, Komet? Both Panthers tight ends are available. I do think Jawan Johnson will start to have some more value. I mean, Kraft is always an option, but he's just so risky. He did have his first game this past week where he didn't score a touchdown, but he had double digits, so that was good to see. But Freiermuth got another good matchup here. I kind of lean Freiermuth. He's coming off of a good game. I think he's a solid start. The Browns are 24th against tight ends, so I kind of prefer him. With Kraft, the Lions are giving up the fewest points to the position, so I think he could have a good game.
But we don't know what the Lions D are going to look like.
That's true. And the Giants for Jawan Johnson are giving up the second fewest, so it's tough there. Honestly, I like Freiermuth. But the other 2 are options. Tommy, what's up? Put up 172 points last week to clinch a playoff spot in my home league. Thank God. I've been so worried about your team all year. First time my whole team played together after all my trades. Well, about time that paid off. Congrats. Need to win this week. Hopefully make the playoffs. Need all the luck I can get. We are crossing our fingers for you. Chase, what's up? Love or Darnold? I go Darnold. But I like Jordan Love a lot, but I go Darnold. Jason has $48 left in Fab. I have 42 on Garando, 4 on Jake Fergie with Ertz on bye, 2 on Dobbs. That's probably fine. I'm good with it. I don't conserve my Fab. Like I've spent most of it in all my leagues by this point in the season. So you're going to get potentially a starting running back through the fantasy playoffs. We'll see. I think Ferguson is a good start this week. It's a great matchup, and he's probably going to play, but it might be screw maker. And Dobbs is worth a roster spot, as frustrating as he is. So I don't have any problems there. Tommy got lucky and drew the opponent who has Breece Hall, Stevenson, Brian Robinson Jr. and McLaurin all on bye. Should I stick with Levis to replace GD5 or get Winston?
Roll with Levis. It's safer. You don't need it. You're playing nobody. Safer.
Levis is the floor. Jameis is the upside. Yeah. Now, it's a tough matchup for Jameis this week.
We don't need Pittsburgh to be mad like that they lost that game 2 weeks. It was just 2 weeks ago, guys. Yeah. They're mad. And Jameis throws 5 picks, no touchdowns.
It's so weird, too, because, obviously this past week, Pittsburgh was not good defensively, but they're giving up the fewest fantasy points on the whole season, even with this past week, to quarterbacks. So, I mean, I know it was a snow game, but 14.4 points the last time Jameis played them. So, I agree that I think Levis is the floor. But once again, if Jameis, you guys want to play Jameis, I'm not against it anymore. So, New Orleans or the Titans defense? I'm going New Orleans. Yeah, I think the Titans have an opportunity, but I'm going New Orleans. Purdy or Wilson? I'm going Wilson. I was out on Purdy last week, and I think he'll be better this week. But the Bears are giving up the second fewest points to quarterbacks. They're good against receivers, not great against running backs, but I don't think Purdy's fully healthy. I know it's a snow game. It's hard to judge things, but I hope that all the Niners come out and have good days, but I just don't know, right? Now before Purdy had the injury and before the snow game, like he was playing fantastic, 19.3 or more fantasy points in 5 straight games. So, I'm still a Purdy believer, but I'd rather start Wilson this week. Too much of a crucial week. Westbrook, Akini, or Tillman rest of the season? You already know my answer. Already know. Snake Westbrook all day. All day.
A lot of pushback when we pushed him out like 4 weeks ago.
I know. I still got pushback this week, believe it or not.
Man, my man's a touchdown machine.
I know. 2 of them last week. I think Tillman can still have opportunity. Obviously, the Browns might throw 900 times every game the finish of the year. So I'm not out on Tillman, but yeah, I think the safer play, I would trust Nick Westbrook-Akini more than Tillman. Plus, Tillman is like kind of 4th, like in the pecking order. Like you got Judy and Njoku, Elijah Moore. So Pollard or Jennings? Yeah, I'm probably going Pollard. I mean, he plays the Jags, so that's my answer. Once again, I'm a little worried about these Niners players this week.
Yeah, Pollard's also just been like good. Like he just gets 100 yards and a touchdown. He's not like a fringe guy. Play him.
He's solid. Jonnu is officially him. Yep. I'm glad we stuck with our confidence in him last week. Who to start, Wilson or Purdy? Wilson. Tommy, me versus you next week, redraft number 2. Rolling an 8-game win streak. Never done anything like this before. Am I even good in that league? Is it wait, this week or next week?
Playoffs, maybe?
Oh yeah, it's this week. Oh my god. I am good in that league, but I have Jaden Daniels, Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, Hunter Henry, Bo Nix on bye. So I haven't checked waivers at all. I haven't had time. I'm projected 45 points, so I need to get that fixed up. Thanks for reminding me, Tommy, because I'm number 6. Pete's number 7.
I'm bad in that league. That team's terrible.
Tommy number 4. You still got a chance to make it in.
I need you to lose, and I have to win.
Yeah. But look, oh god, dude, this Biocalypse hit me hard.
That's good. Okay, I'm happy now. I'm gonna make it if I win because I got more points scored than you too.
Yeah, I got Chuba against Philly. I got CeeDee Lamb banged up on Monday Night Football. Oh no, I might have to start Kyle Pitts over here.
Oh no, not Kyle Pitts.
I know. Okay, at least there's options on the waiver somewhat.
I'm gonna have to spend. I have money in that league. I'm gonna have to block you everywhere. You only have $9. I'll block you on everybody.
Oh, yeah. See, now this is an example of free agent bidding. Why you should save it, especially with the way the bye weeks work this year. Oh, okay. Well, I'll look at that later. We'll see what happens. Good luck, Tommy and Pete. All right. Tracy Jennings or Brian Thomas at the flex, half PPR. That's tough. I do like Tyrone Tracy this week. I think a similar week to last week is doable. The Saints are still really bad against the run. The Giants are at home. But once again, I think Brian Thomas Jr. is basically a must start every week until he proves otherwise, So I'm probably sticking BTJ, but half PPR, you could go Tracy. Jennings is the odd man out. Johnny, what's up, man? Kyler or Baker? Baker for the floor, Kyler for upside. Drop Cousins for Jameis? Yeah, right. Do it right now. I mean, seriously, though, I would rather start Jameis or Russell Wilson over Cousins easily. We're out on Cousins.
There's just no upside. There's no upside to Cousins. Like, even if he plays better, like Bijan's also just going to poach touchdowns.
Yeah, it's like if Kirk has a good game, fine. So be it. But what about the games in between? I mean, he's had 11.2 or less points in 3 straight games, Like he gets the Giants in week 16, like the Raiders in week 15. Like he's going to have some opportunities, but
is he even going to be the quarterback at that point?
Yeah, I'm just not risking it, I'm not risking it. Starting Herbert right now, I mean, you can probably just roll with Herbert this week if you want, but drop Javonte for Benson. I'd rather have Javonte. Benson's just a handcuff. Like, I don't know what this I mean, like I've liked Benson a bit. Don't get me wrong, but um, like he had 3 touches last week, 4 the week before. Like he's just a handcuff. Like Javonte, at least you have a chance, if you start him. I mean, he
He
scored this
might be the
past
guy.
week,
Yeah.
so yeah, I'd rather Javonte. Judy went avatar mode, so it's only natural that when the fantasy role needs him most, he'll disappear. This hasn't come up yet, but I will not be surprised if Judy. I mean, like seriously, I think Judy's gonna have like 12 points this week. Um, maybe a little bit better, but he's not gonna have. He's not ever gonna do what he did last week in his career again.
Ever again.
And it's not a knock on him. It's just not realistic to think
It's
that.
like he's
Like
Jerry Judy. He's just a guy. Like he's not
yeah,
that dude. 235?
yeah.
Are you out of your minds?
Yeah, it was kind of like all the receivers, like on the, I guess it was the Broncos. They're all like super heavy, and then Judy's really heavy too. But I don't think Elijah Moore is. They were showing graphics last night of all, and I'm like, okay, interesting. Anyway, I mean, look at like Pickens had the huge game last year, hasn't had that game since, right? Amari Cooper, that huge game last week, hasn't done it since. So it happens, but not everyone's Jamar Chase, right? Disley or Fryermuth. Disley, I know he gave you a goose egg, but they both have really good matchups this week. But I'm probably leaning Fryermuth, but I will say, I mean, Lad McConkey's banged up. We might see a bigger game out of Disley this week. But I think I still like Fryermuth more. I think he's safer. Nino, what's going on? Got a late trade deadline and got an offer right before playoffs. Got offered London, Downs, and Tua for Debo, Brian Robinson, and Tillman. This is really going to be roster dependent. I mean, London versus Brian Robinson's fair. The rest depends on roster. I don't mind getting rid of Debo or Tillman, but like, how bad do you need Tua?
Yeah.
If he's not going to start, then this doesn't really matter. Do you need the wide receiver or running back more? Is what it's going to boil down to. But basically, for me, this is Brian Robinson versus London. Should I use my number 4 waiver priority to replace Lamar? Well, let's be clear. You're not dropping Lamar. You just need the bye week replacement. Or just see who falls to me. Well, I try to get Caleb if you can. Yeah, I probably would. But if Levis or Donald fall to you, like I'm fine with that. If you just want to not waste your waiver, that's okay too. Or if you want to get Jameis, don't get me wrong. I mean, honestly, though, like any of these quarterbacks can outscore each other. I'm not too big on Carr this week. I think he's startable, but if you don't want to spend your waiver, like I don't think
One of these guys will be there. Like one of these guys will be there.
Yeah. So if you want to hold off, I'm good at that too. Which defense would you pick up? Chicago, San Fran, Kansas City, or Dallas? I mean, to be honest, I don't really like any of these options. Yeah. Is there?
Maybe Chicago?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking Chicago. I mean,
They're really bad. They're really bad against the run, though. San Francisco
they're
will
pretty
just
bad.
run.
Yeah, like they actually kind of suck. Like
they are flat out so they're bad. They're bad against the run.
They have double digits against Will Levis, Andy Dalton, and Trevor Lawrence in London. They've had 8 or less points in every game since. Yeah. I don't trust San Fran. I don't like Kansas City this week, and they're not an option anyways. And you're not playing anyone against the Bengals. So I think you could I think I would risk Chicago still. It's not gonna be as bad as last week for San Fran. I would risk them, and I'll just leave it at that. If these are your true options. If Seattle or Arizona are out there, or the Titans versus Jacksonville, New Orleans versus the Giants, those are all better options in my opinion. Should I start Jake Ferguson? Yes. Or drop him to pick up the Panthers tight end, the backup Eagles tight end, or one of the Saints tight ends. Have Andrews on bye. Yeah, I would just start Jake Ferguson. Cooper Rush, like I know he didn't have a good fantasy day, but he wasn't that bad last week. He just didn't need to do a whole lot. No interception, threw a touchdown, 21 to 36, 195 passing yards. Did have a fumble, but it wasn't lost. He has had a fumble every game, but he doesn't lose a lot of fumbles. It's weird, but he didn't need to do a whole lot. So I think Ferguson's a good, he likes throwing to the tight end was my point I was trying to make, but yeah, go Ferguson. Now Grant Calcaterra is a little sneaky. So's Jawan Johnson, but yeah, Ferguson. Nino, team is Kyler, Brown, Cook, Bucky, B-Rob. Nice. Nico, Jay Jettis, Terry, Debo, Tillman, McBride. 10-man start, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and 2 flex. Jeez, these running backs.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, B-Rob's on bye. So you're starting Chase Brown, James Cook, flexing Bucky, starting Jay Jettis, starting Terry. And I think you got to start Debo here. You want to go Tillman over Debo? I'm not going to stop you, but I think I'd still start Debo. So Brown, Cook, Jettis. No, Terry's on bye. So is this really a question? Because
Terry and Nico are both on bye. Yeah.
Yeah, because you got to start Chase, Cook, Bucky, Jay Jettis, Debo, Tillman. So that's your lineup, right?
Unless you have another tight end and you could flex. He's asking like I could flex McBride.
Yeah. I think I counted right.
No, you're right. No, you're definitely right. Like everybody's on bye.
Yeah, so you got to go with the guys who are on bye week. Yeah. Trust Kyler or turn to Winston or Aiden O'Connell. I mean, I'm probably personally just playing Kyler. You want to go Winston? I'm not going to stop you. But Aiden O'Connell, I think, is a good stream. But once again, Kyler, you take away the turnovers. He wasn't that bad. Let's just take away the one turnover in the game. Like, you still have 20 fantasy points. So, I think I just stick with Kyler. But the other two are certainly options. Andrea, good to see you. Cardinals, Bucks, or Titans? I'd probably go Cardinals. I do think the Bucks are playable, but when I put them in the must start video, then as I was recording, like my confidence level was just going down.
Started sinking. Like,
I was like, I don't know if I almost just cut them out. I'm not even gonna lie. They have an opportunity, but it really depends on the play of Aiden O'Connell, which wasn't bad this past week, And the Titans are kind of the same boat. Like they have an opportunity, but Mac Jones wasn't bad this past week. So I'd probably just stick with the Cardinals. Frizzle with the $2 super chat. Bottom of the chat. Cade Otton or Jawan Johnson? Yeah, I'm going to go Cade Otton personally. I'll take the matchup here. I'm a little bit more worried about Jawan Johnson. I think he's got an opportunity, but it's a bad matchup. So I'll go Otton, but it's close, I suppose. Thank you for the super chat. Falcon Fantasy Football. Should I pick up Jake Bates or Chase McLaughlin? I kind of lean Jake Bates, but didn't McLaughlin have a big week?
Yeah, Chase. He missed the one field goal in overtime, but Chase.
That's right.
Like, all these kickers are good. All these kickers are good. Jake Bates is like, we know the deal with Detroit. They're going to score touchdowns, but they do trust him to kick 50-yard field goals now, which is very nice.
Very nice.
I would probably go McLaughlin here just because Green Bay outdoors could just be a bad kicking game for them. And McLaughlin did hit the game winner, so he bounced back from that miss.
Yeah, I think both are good. I agree. I'll stick with Pete's recommendation. What Pete says, I agree with.
You should definitely drop Gus Edwards.
Should I drop Gus Edwards or Fairbairn for either Bates or Chase McLaughlin? Yeah, I mean, Gus is just a desperation play. and you're just really hoping he hits the end zone. And against Kansas City, I mean, come on, I'm staying away from it. Truly, he's a desperation play only. That's it. So if you're desperate, keep him. If not, then just drop Gus Edwards for this week's kicker. Albert, good to see you. What's going on? Will Isaac Guerrero be the lead back in San Fran, or will it be an RB committee? I mean, I'm not Kyle Shanahan, so you know.
I don't know if Kyle Shanahan's Kyle Shanahan anymore.
I know.
Just kind of seems like a guy out there.
He's a shell of his former self. Who knows? Who knows? It could go either way. It could be different throughout different games. Could depend on how things are looking as the season starts to progress towards the end here. The playoff picture looks like. I mean, I'm still betting on Isaac Guerrero, but who knows? Shopkey, what's going on, man? Andrew, I have Daniels on bye and have Kyler Murray on the bench. Should I pick up Russ, Winston, Caleb, or Will Levis? I just start Kyler Murray. But once again, you're looking at a group of quarterbacks. Any of these guys can outscore each other. It's going to be close. I think all these players are good this week, but you know, in order to not have to drop a player, excuse me, unless you have a player that you want to drop, then I'd just play Kyler. Tommy, trying to get Guerrero off waivers in a home league. If I get him, would you consider playing him, Thielen, or more over DK? Yeah, I'm a little low on DK this week. I will say I liked Thielen last week. It's a bad matchup this week, though. You know, I'm not starting Thielen against the Eagles unless I'm desperate. Left him as a sit in the video, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, you got the exciting whites on.
Exciting whites versus the old white.
The veteran white. Yeah, I mean, it's just, you know.
But the hands, Thielen still got the stickies, boys.
I mean, he did catch 2 touchdowns and was only credited 1. But that was the Bucs. I mean,
they're bad.
Yeah, I'm probably not starting Thielen with confidence until week 17 when he plays the Bucs again. So,
oh yeah.
The volume was good. The targets are there. Like, he's startable. And Elijah Moore, it's like, is Tillman going to be out there this week? And Elijah Moore has been really up and down. I mean, you can consider any of these guys over DK, and like I think DK can have a good game, but what concerns me the most about DK is the injury. You know, and I mean, this is like the second injury since week 7. Like, he's okay, but he's banged up. You know, and last time he played Arizona, he had 9.9 points. I feel like he got banged up in that game too, but it might be
think
wrong.
that was his first game back. I think.
Second. He played San Fran in
right.
week 11, but like, don't get me wrong, it's Metcalf, you know. Like, he can catch 2 touchdowns. Are you gonna be surprised? No, but he could have 3 points. Would you be surprised? Not really.
Oh.
Yeah. It's just not a great matchup for Elijah Moore. It's not a good matchup for Thielen. Guerendo's very interesting. I think he gives you the most upside here. So those are tough choices, Tommy. Trust your gut. Jason, we got Jones, Connor, and Pacheco. Yeah, I just don't know if I'm going to start Pacheco anytime soon. I'm probably setting Pacheco. I mean, he had an even split with Kareem Hunt last week. Might change this week. It might not, but it's a bad matchup against the Chargers. He can certainly score. He can certainly take it back over. Hunt could score, get the same amount of touches. You know, it's like they don't have a good schedule. Like, they play the Chargers, the Browns, the Texans, and the Steelers. And if you're crazy and playing week 18, then play the Broncos. Now, Browns, Broncos, I don't know about anymore, but on paper, this is a bad schedule. So I'm probably sitting Pacheco. I know Aaron Jones is going through something right now, but the Vikings are showing faith in him, and he's still scoring and getting you something. Connor's been playing at a low ceiling too, but I would rather start those guys than Pacheco right now.
Cardinals are just so weird on offense. They don't give him the ball or McBride the ball in the red zone. Like, Connor should easily have a touchdown every game. Every game.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm shooken up about Pacheco right now, though. Seahawks or Chargers, I'll go with the Hawks. I'm not banking against the refs and Patrick Mahomes at home on primetime football. No way. Are Mason and CMC both droppable? Going till week 18? If you go till week 18, Mason, you should just leave on IR. But also, like, the Niners are out of the playoffs. They're probably going to shut Mason down for the year. But you never know. So if you can keep him on IR, I would do that. If you're playing through week 18, I would try and hold on to him. Tommy says, hit the like. Do it. I have St. Brown, Ladd, Thielen, Debo's. Debo droppable for another wide receiver like a Keeney or even Elijah Moore. I can tell you one thing. A lot of people are ready to drop Debo. I mean,
Understatement.
Yeah. And it's like, I always say it at this point in the season. If you have a player who you are never going to start, then just get rid of them. I mean, they're wasting a roster spot on your bench, especially when like Nick Westbrook and Elijah Moore have shown production. Then sure, move on. I think Debo will have at least one good game left on the season. I'll put it that way.
Maybe.
But that's just me being skeptical. So, but yeah, the other two are safer. I feel like if you're going to have more confidence in starting those two guys, and don't feel bad about it. Brandon Perna mentioned, yeah. One day we'll stream some of the playoff games and we'll try and see if we can get Tom Grossi to rate us. Does that?
There we go.
There we go.
So I'm talking about after the Packers lose, of course, though.
Yeah, if they're even in the playoffs at that point,
it's impossible. They're in the playoffs. Like basically the entire playoff is set on both conferences, guys. Like there's one or two divisions up in the air, but the wild cards are set.
You never know. The Jags and Bengals are going to make it.
Nope.
Who's eliminated? The Giants?
The Raiders. I don't even think the Giants are eliminated. Maybe they are, but I don't think they are.
I think there's one other team that's eliminated. I'll tell you in like 3 seconds. The Giants, Patriots, Jags, and Raiders eliminated.
Okay. I just knew the Raiders were the first team eliminated.
Yeah,
on
Friday. That makes sense on Friday.
Even though the Giants lost on Thursday, I guess they need a little help. Commanders winning probably knocked them out.
So the Panthers are still in it. The Bears and the Saints, the Cowboys.
Well, because the division's so bad. The
Yeah.
division is so bad in the NFC South.
Titans, Jets, Browns, Niners, Bengals, Rams, Cardinals, Dolphins.
Guys, if we're being realistic here, the Falcons and Buccaneers are the only two teams that are questions. The Rams, Seahawks, Cardinals, the other question mark.
Yeah.
The Vikings, Packers, Commanders are going to be your 3 wild card teams, or the line like 3 teams in the NFC North. The Eagles and the Commanders are your playoff teams in the NFC.
I can't disagree with that.
And the AFC set.
I hope the AFC is set. I think the best teams in the AFC are in right now. Of course, I mean,
besides the Bengals, I want the Bengals in over the Broncos. They're so much more fun to watch.
I will.
The Broncos
okay,
are not that good.
I'm seeing. I like Bo Nix. I'm in on the Bo Nix hype, but
you're a Bo Lever.
I am a Bo Lever. I've been one, but if the Bengals get in, I won't be upset. I'll put it that way.
But they're done. They're done. Realistically, it'd be the Colts, which nobody wants to see Anthony Richardson in the playoffs.
Now the Dolphins could be sneaky. Could be. They've been getting hot lately.
They got smacked by Green Bay. Come on.
That's true.
Anything below 40, they are who we thought they were.
That's true. They did show a little bit of life, but yeah, you're right about the NFC. You got the Bucks, Falcons, and then the Cardinals, Seahawks. Yeah.
Rams too. Rams are hanging around.
Rams are in there. Yeah, they're right there too. I'm rooting for the Bucks. No offense, Falcons fans, if there's any out there. I'm rooting for the Bucks. That tie, I mean, losing those 2 games to the Falcons is huge, though. The Texans have had such an easy schedule. And you look at their wins on the season, like it's been The only
It's like
thing
the Broncos.
the
Yeah.
only thing they've done this year is beat the Bills. I think the
They
Texans are very fraudulent.
they're not very. I don't think anybody thinks they're very good. Like they're
Yeah,
just kind of whatever. I mean, maybe
that's
they should have
fine.
beat the Lions, but they're just.
That's true, but they didn't.
And D'Amico Ryans is on. Like I kind of dislike him a lot. Him and the GM over there after
Yeah, what's up
defending
with
out.
that?
Those were some weird comments, man. After
What's
what
up with all
happened on
that?
Sunday. Yeah, not great.
We'll find out. Almost playoff time. All right, best kicker between Sanders, McManus, Folk, Garupe, and McPherson.
Not Groupie, not McPherson. Groupie's outdoors at the Giants, so I don't like that. McPherson is going to miss a kick because it's them and the Bengals will score touchdowns. Nick Folk, probably a safe play. McManus is kind of hit or miss outdoors in Green Bay as well. He kicks good outdoors. I don't know what that Lions game is going to look like. Sanders has been good. I like Sanders. I think Sanders is probably your highest ceiling safe play. Nick Folk kind of a lower ceiling, safer play, and McManus like just upside purely. I don't trust Groupie or McPherson this week.
What Pete said, trust Pete when it comes to kickers. Kicker rankings will be out tomorrow nightish, afternoonish. Hawkinson or Njoku. I'm going to stick with Njoku. He had like 17 targets this past week. I mean,
but he did like kind of quit and drop a bunch. I don't know.
He also no, it was when the game was still very much alive. Judy just like there's one play, he's like went to the sideline. They were like, get back in, and then the next maybe it wasn't Njoku. It was like the next play they converted. It may have been, I don't remember who it was, but I saw that happen. But yeah, I'll stick with Njoku. Hawkinson's fine though. He does have a better matchup for what it's worth. Jones, Connor, Pacheco, and Garando start 2. I think we hit this one. It just was missing. No, this was different. This different one.
It was. We were just missing Garando,
That's
but
right.
we had the other 3.
I still prefer Jones and Connor, but if you want to go Garando over one or the other, that's fine.
Jones just keeps fumbling, man. I don't
know
what's going on with him.
The fumbles are tough there. And Connor's been playing at a lower ceiling too. Not a great matchup for Jones. Not the best, not the worst for Connor. I think there's some upside with Garando if you want it. You want to replace one of the two, but I'm kind of just trusting the volume of the other two. I mean, that's tough. Something crazy in my home league. The final playoff spot came down to the team with Chubb versus team with Njoku. Team with Chubb was up by 15 points, won by 0.19. Yeah, there were a lot. I mean, that game decided a lot of playoff seeding. I saw a lot of stuff posted over the weekend or over the past 24 hours, whatever. Run CMC. Will you play Garando or Westbrook over Gibbs? No. HA, no. Kyra, no. AJ Brown, no. Evans, no. D-Hop, maybe.
Probably D-Hop.
Yeah. Like D-Hop's fine. That's about it. Listen, I'm probably starting Westbrook Akini this week again against the Jags over D-Hop. But D-Hop's startable. Garando's startable, but I like the rest of your team's so good. I'm going to take the player playing the Jaguars.
With the upside, yeah.
Yeah. And then I'll probably go Hawkinson over Ingram, but that could go either direction. Santana at the bottom of the chat, thank you for the super chat. Thoughts on playoff schedule for Hurts, Bijan, Connor, St. Brown, Wilson, Hawkinson, Bucky at flex. 12-man PPR first in standings. Well, for most of these guys, I'm not going to care what the schedule is. I know Bijan has a good schedule. Hurts, I'm just not worried about. St. Brown, I'm not worried about. Bucky, Bucky is a great playoff schedule.
Great schedule.
Yeah, you got Bucky. You should feel great. I think week 15, it's not good. They play the Chargers. That's who I thought, but then they get Dallas and Carolina, and they get Vegas this week. Like the Chargers haven't been as good as of late. So, Wilson, I'm a little worried about. Connor, I'm a little worried about. Hawkinson is like fine, but kind of hit or miss. little inconsistent. What is Hurts's playoff schedule?
I don't think it's tough.
Pittsburgh,
The
Washington,
Lions a little tough.
Dallas. That's fine.
Oh, yeah.
That's fine. That's fine with me. Bijan has got the Raiders, the Giants, Washington. That's fine. Yeah, I knew he had a good one. Sorry, what were you saying?
I said Detroit's is kind of. I mean,
Yeah,
Amon probably has the worst out of that.
that's true. Theirs is tough.
Yeah,
but
they
it's
got
like
the Packers, Bills, at the Bears, and then San Francisco in the championship game.
yeah, that's bad. But it's still Amon-Ra, so it doesn't like. I don't like it. Don't get me wrong, but that is one to pay attention to for sure. Gary Wilson has a good one though. That's right. I mean, outside of Buffalo in Week 17, he gets Jacksonville and the Rams, so that's not bad. But I'm just worried about him in general. And then Connor. This is okay. He gets Carolina and New England and the Rams, so that's not too bad. Yeah, Amon-Ra is the one to pay attention to, but like you're not going to bench Amon-Ra in the playoffs, you know. And then I'm just worried about Wilson's. Like I'm worried about the Jets in general. Wilson's got great.
Yeah, we're just worried about the Jets.
But I think he'll be okay. I mean, you're first in standing, so you should get a bye week unless you play in a no bye week league. And I think the good news is Hurts, Bijan, Bucky. Like, I mean, Bucky is going to be a league winner this year. I'm calling it now. Called it a few weeks ago in the playoff videos that we did. You know. So yeah, I wouldn't stress too much here. Logman, wide receivers, Hill, Myers, DJ Moore. We got Kyron Williams, Brown, Pollard, Connor. Pick 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex. I'll start Hill, Myers. It is Kyron Williams, I'm assuming, not Javonte. I'm starting Chase Brown for sure. So there's your 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs. The flex, probably Pollard against the Jags. But if DJ Moore didn't have a kind of bad matchup, I'd probably just go DJ Moore. I still think he's startable here. So, yeah. Hill, Myers, Kyron, Chase, Pollard. You could go DJ Moore if you like him. Jeff, should I use my waiver priority on Garando or Dowdle?
That's tough.
I really liked Dowdle last week, but he was playing the Giants. He gets Cincinnati, Carolina, Tampa Bay, then Philly, which is not great, but the rest are good. I'd probably go Dowdle. But I think if you want to go Garando, that's fine. I mean, Chicago, Rams, Dolphins, Detroit, it's not the best, not the worst. Dowdle's is better outside of Week 17. Plus, like, he has no competition. I mean, like, Zeke, Deuce Vaughn. The next most touches went to their fullback last week. So,
yeah.
I go Dowdle. I also I'm fine with Garando, and I think he could be good. And but there's also this element of I don't know. You know, what defense would you rather start in Week 16 and 17? Eagles, Broncos, Bills. Let me look.
Eagles got the Cowboys in Week 17, so that's nice.
That is good.
They got Commanders and Cowboys. That's kind of 50-50.
Yeah, that's fine. Denver actually really. I don't know if Denver's gonna be playable. I mean, I don't know. They just gave up 552 yards and had 20 points. So
yeah, they scored 2 touchdowns.
Almost
insane. Yeah. Oh man, I could have used that third one.
Yeah, I would have won in the league if they had scored there. Anyways, But they get Indy, the Chargers, Cincy, like, and 2 of those are on the road. It just doesn't feel
You're holding out
great.
like the Bengals have quit at that point. Like Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase aren't playing. If they are
Maybe.
playing, you're gonna get cooked.
Yeah. But they've been so good the past 3 weeks. Like, it's like they're probably worth holding on to just to kind of feel it out. I mean, they're the defense too. Buffalo.
New England and the Jets. Oh, that's tasty. That's real tasty.
Yeah, and what I mean, they're going to be fighting for the number
The
1
1 seed.
seed.
Yeah, they got to keep winning.
Yeah, because they're 10-2. The Chiefs are 11-1. Then you got the Steelers with 3 losses. So, I mean that could all change. But I'd probably try to roster the Bills and the Broncos, and I would prefer to start the Bills. But I think the Broncos against the Colts in like week 15 is fine. All right. MH Jr., Tyrone Tracy, or Jawan Jennings. I'm probably sticking with MH. I mean, I liked him a lot last week. It was a much better matchup, but happy PR, you could go Tracy. Tracy for the floor, MH for more risk, but more upside. I'm out on Jennings and have PPR. We'll see what happens. Don't know what to do with CD. I mean, CD's fine. You know, I mean, last week was like bad, but he was banged up. He dropped some passes, whatever. He plays the Bengals, so I probably start him. But the bigger problem with CD is once again there's a lingering injury, and he plays on Monday night. So, will Amari bounce back? I wouldn't count on it.
Maybe, but
yeah. But what's the consistency? I mean, I'll say it again. I want to start Khalil Shakir, and like that's it at wide receiver for the Bills. I might start Mac Hollins next up. I mean,
yeah, no
he at least
shoes
gets
at all.
looks. Yeah. But also Keon Coleman might come back. I mean, that might change things. But I mean, Amari's if Debo's droppable, Amari's probably droppable. You know. Amari or Tracy this week? Tracy, not even close. Not even close. Good matchup for Tracy. Should I pick up Johnny Smith? Yes.
Yes. That's
Yes.
end of statement.
Yes. Yeah, it is like you should be dropping, unless you're in a league with me here, you should be dropping everything you got for Johnny Smith. I probably go in this order. Maybe you could swap Jawan and Komet, but Smith and then Kraft should be your top priorities. Roll with the Lions or Saints, Titans, Hawks, or Bucks? I mean, I don't really want to roll with the Lions.
They're bad. Their defense is officially bad now.
Yeah, and they rank high, but not because they've been good as of late. They get Green Bay, Buffalo, Chicago. Yeah.
They're super banged up too.
Yeah,
they are
very injured. Week 17 against San Fran, like maybe there's something there, but that's it. I like the Saints this week. I'll go Saints or Seahawks this week. Hawks for a floor, Saints for more upside. Then Titans out of desperation. I'm not starting the Bucks this week. Maybe if you're desperate. They did make my video, so I gotta try and talk myself back into it. Darnold has told me several times this year those 3 bad performances. Guess he started him for all 3. Yeah. I did. I won a matchup somehow starting him the Jacksonville week. So it was super flex league though.
Yeah, the Jacksonville week, the Indy week.
Yeah, there are a lot of
the Ram week. Those like the bad 3 weeks he had.
Yeah, I mean, but even Josh Allen has had some bad weeks this year.
Josh Allen only QB5, man.
Yeah,
QB5.
Disley or Tucker rest of the season. I probably take the upside with Tucker Kraft. But you want to go Disley? That's fine. He's a little bit safer.
I don't know what to do with Green Bay. I'll find out on Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a good. Like, I don't like Kraft this week unless you're desperate. He always has a chance. Disley is a better matchup this week, but it's close. You kind of like both guys are still pretty touchdown dependent here. Disley is like that's the problem. All these tight ends, like they either got to get the volume or they got to score a touchdown, and there's nothing in between. You know, like which I guess is really true for any player in fantasy, but it's just so hit or miss. LeBron's what's going on. I wouldn't have even won my matchup if I started Judy this week. Yeah, that's rough.
Tough.
That's rough. Need QB this week. Winston or Levis? Levis for the floor, Winston for upside. How are all the catch fam leagues doing? I can run through them at the end of the stream if I remember.
He just wants to be credit because he's in first place in at least one of them.
Now that I believe. That I definitely believe. I'm gonna find one league that J-Dubs is.
He's bad in the auction league, I think.
Dude, I don't want to talk about the auction league.
I still lost last week with Josh Allen. Crazy.
J-Dubs is number 1 in League 5. Pete's number 4. Tommy's number 3. I got destroyed in that league this year. Of course, Christian McCaffrey, Goddard, Olave. Yeah, okay, we'll move along. J-Dubs is dominated in that league.
It is.
This is my safety, sir. Lover Murray this week. I got these guys really close to one another this week. I'll go Love, but it's close. We'll go Murray. That's fine too. I'll go Love. Did you guys already talk about Thursday Night Football? A little bit. Something you need to know, let us know. Yeah, I mean, Jameis has been good for fantasy, but he's also been bad. I mean, it's kind of been this pattern: 23.5, 13, 26.6, 14.4, 35.9. So it's like
he's gonna have like 13 this week.
Yeah, it's very unpredictable, And I still think at some point it might come crashing back to earth, but I'm no longer. That's right. I'm not allowed to talk bad about Jameis Winston. He is.
This is Jameis Winston. He's a 30-30 guy. Throws 30 touchdowns, 30 picks, and
I
a
think
million yards.
This statement was more like he's so good for fantasy. Like he's good for Njoku. He was even good for Chubb.
He's good for himself.
Yeah,
he's good for the defense he plays against.
It's good for the Broncos D. Good for Elijah Moore. So that is fair. That is fair. Got us on the Nick Westbrook-Akini train, rolling Levis and Nick Westbrook in the playoffs. Good luck. They have great matchups. Russ, Caleb, Kyler, or Mahomes. Pick one. This is very close. Mahomes is going to have a good week, I think. I mean, he has not been bad the past couple weeks. Like, he's got as safe as a floor as any of these players. And probably...
And he's Mahomes. Has a primetime game.
Yeah. I like Caleb right now, but like that's the thing. None of these guys have great matchups. I mean, Russ has the best matchup, but
can he do it again? Four Bills again for young Russ?
Yeah. Oh. I'd probably go Kyler or Mahomes, but I like Caleb right now. That's really tough. Noah Gray or Kincaid? I'll go Noah. I mean, I have no faith in Kincaid. He's not even active for the week yet. I mean, it's not a good matchup for Noah Gray, and he had a good matchup last week. Had 9.8 points. Like he's got to score those touchdowns. So, but yeah, I'm just out on Kincaid. I'll go Noah Gray. Drop DK for Garando. Or trade DK for Garando. Really roster dependent. And I mean, I'm pretty low on DK right now, but I don't know if I'm ready to just get rid of him. Devin, Ingram or Freiermuth? I'll lean Freiermuth, but Ingram is fine if you want to go there. Freiermuth has the matchup. Kittle or Jonnu? Jonnu. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're both still in the must start category. Who has the better matchup? Chicago's moved back to 18th against tight ends. The Jets are 4th, but like I don't know if I really care. I mean, that's as good of a question as you could possibly have. like Bowers and McBride are the only guys I would start over these two. And most weeks, like if the Niners just didn't look like everything was falling apart, like Kittle would still be above anyone other than Bowers. I mean, he's a tight end too. That's tough. That's tough. The trend is with Jonnu, but the matchup's better for Kittle. And like we can't read in the last week, Kittle like what, one catch or whatever.
Yeah,
Like
and he dropped. It was I don't
yeah,
know. The Niners are just. I think it's about to explode. The
yeah,
dynasty that was never there is over. This team is about to be really, really bad.
yeah. I mean, everyone that they're invested in is hurt, basically. Because Fred Warner's been playing with like a fractured
Ankle, yeah, something like that.
tibia,
Yeah,
ankle, leg, all of it. He left that game too. Trent Williams is hurt. Seems he's
yeah, out for the
dead.
season. He's on the
Yeah,
IR. I mean, I guess he
he's
could come back week 18, but he's on the IR.
yeah,
Ayuk's
he's
out
going
for
back
the
to
season.
Germany. Jordan Mason's hurt. Even Kittle's been banged up this year. Like it's worrisome.
They're going to trade everybody. Everybody's going to be on a new team next year.
BTJ or Johnu.
Oh, there we go.
Well, I've said all week and all last week that Johnu is flexible. And at some point, we are going to see a lower ceiling out of Johnu. So just tamper expectations. But oh, that's very close. Very close. I mean, I still feel like the floor is pretty close for both of them. Johnu has more upside though. I'll go Johnu, but all season long we've been, BTJ's a start. So, but Johnny's become a start over the past month. So that, I mean, you know what? I don't have a poll up. Who you starting in week? I can't believe it's week 14. This season is just a massive blur. Make sure you guys hit the like. All right, so Jonnu Smith versus New York Jets, who are fourth against tight ends, or Brian Thomas Jr. versus Tennessee, who are seventh against wide receivers, I think. I'll double check. If I got both those right, then my memory is good today. Wow, I did.
Oh,
That means everyone has to hit the like right now. All right. Mayfield, Love, or Murray rest of the season. I would try to, I mean, you're rostering all these guys. Like you can still tough to roster 3 quarterbacks, but
I love it. For psychological warfare, I love it.
yeah, I do too, actually. I mean, especially if you got like an opponent who gets really unlucky and their quarterback gets hurt. I mean, I still believe in Baker. I know he had a down game. He got stepped on and everything. And I still think Baker's going to be fine, but I still believe in the other two. I mean, I don't really dislike any of these guys right now. Kate Otten, Jawan Johnson. I'll go Otten. Russell or Baker. I mean, if Baker wasn't hurt, it'd just be Baker. He's not even
Baker's the
really.
QB2, QB3, QB3, I think.
Is he? I thought he was 5. We'll
Well,
find
maybe
out.
ESPN hasn't updated. I was looking earlier.
He's 6.
Oh, yeah, see, hadn't updated yet.
Yeah, this
Josh
past
Allen.
week
Yeah, Josh Allen
moved him
5.
back for sure. I mean, he just
Him and
had 12
Hurts.
points. I still have a tough time benching Baker though. But if you're worried about Baker for whatever reason, then go Russ. But Russ is not going to do what he did last week. Waivers suck. Yeah, I hear you. Insurance back, Bijan Algier, Dowdle starters. I have Brooks, but Etienne's out there, Bigsby, then Ford or Gus Bus, or just keep Brooks. Yeah, Jonathan Brooks hasn't come up tonight. Just keep Brooks.
Yeah.
Yeah, just keep Brooks. I have Niners D and Broncos on bye. Should I pick up Chicago, New Orleans for sure? You don't need to roster the Niners defense. When was have they done
No.
anything?
Nope. Got blown out by Green Bay, blown out by the Bills.
They have negative points in 2 straight weeks. They have not had more than 8 points since week 5. Yeah, we can drop them. New Orleans could start this week, and then Broncos are startable. Week 15 is a little rough, but I'd still rather start them than the rest of these choices. What do you guys think of putting Keenan Allen as flex over Warren or Westbrook or Tracy? I'm okay with it. It's not a great matchup, but he's been really good. Yeah, I'm okay with it. But Tracy does have a good matchup. Westbrook's got a great matchup. So maybe look at that. Y'all hit the like button. Levi Wellis will be tasked with covering your opponent's best receiver next week. Jeez, he was bad. Welcome, Michael. I'm thinking to bench Chubb, says Todd, for my flex and starting Laporta at flex and Smith at tight end. I mean, you could. I think you should start Johnny Smith at tight end. I mean, once again, Laporta had 3 catches, 2 of them were touchdowns. It's a good matchup, but he's just been really up and down. I think Chubb has a floor. Chubb wasn't even that good this past week.
Yeah, he hasn't been good. He wasn't good the week before either. It's just he gets the touchdowns.
Yeah. He got the snow game was good, but they didn't have any other option. He barely was getting any touches. I mean, he only had 9 touches in the game, but the first half, he was barely getting used. And really, he only had a good game because he scored the receiving touchdown. And by good game, 12 points.
Yeah. And it was late, that touchdown, too.
Yeah. There were plenty of late touchdowns, but
there was a lot of late touchdowns, fair. But still, you want to see him early. You want to see an early touchdown, make me yeah, the game plan for this.
For sure. Yeah, Steelers are 11th against running backs. I mean, if you like it, I'm not totally against it here, but just don't take Johnny Smith out of the equation.
Johnny Smith start.
Someone in my league benched Jaden Daniels and Judy.
Oh,
deserve it. Now Judy, it made sense. It was not a good matchup. He hasn't played he's played good, but there's certainly Judy was a waiver guy or a super late round guy. There's plenty of options in front of him. Jaden Daniels, I've been encouraging you guys to start for 2 straight weeks. So.
I mean, maybe it was he had Lamar or something, and he didn't start Daniels.
But... I mean, I got a lot of questions about Daniels last week, and people because really, I mean, the week before, he wasn't. It was really the fourth quarter, you know. But
it's really one throw. It was one drive and one throw.
And the Titans have been pretty good against quarterbacks, so I get it, but can't take it away from him. Mikey, standard scoring: Pacheco, Hunt, Dowdle, Tracy, Najee, or Gus Bus. I do like Tracy a lot, and I think Dowdle's fine, but I got a tough time benching Najee. I mean, he's probably the safest here. And people are saying Najee's only had this past week was just out of nowhere, but I mean,
he's got a really high floor, Najee.
Yeah, he's had single digits twice since week 3. I mean, some of those 10 points, 11-point games, but 16 or more fantasy points in 4 games since week 6.
He had the one bad game against Cleveland in the snow, I think.
Yeah,
and then 16 plus every week with Russ.
Yeah.
And he's getting a lot of targets. Najee made the Sunday video. I like him the rest of the way.
Yeah, and the nice thing is Warren's still getting his involvement, but it's not really taken away from Najee. So, I still like Tracy, and I like Dowdle, but I'd probably stick with Najee. Did y'all see the Seahawks waived Laviska Shenault after his 2 fumble returns last week? Yeah, I did see that. Laviska Shenault was a thing in fantasy the first year of this channel. I remember him on the Jags showing up. Chubb or Addison? Is this going to be Addison week?
Maybe.
Yeah.
He was down last week. Due for an up.
It is a good matchup. It does kind of feel like an Addison week. I mean, if you need the upside, go Addison. It is a good matchup. You want the floor, just go to Chubster. Need a wide receiver 2 in the flex. Jennings, Allen, Watson, Thielen, Dowdle, Addison. I'll start Keenan Allen here. Probably Rico, but you could go Addison. Seahawks or Cardinals. I really think it's a coin flip. I like both.
Same game. Love it.
I know. I probably lean Seattle, but it's really close. Really close. I just traded Braylon Allen for Garando in Dynasty. I'm a CMC owner. Winner L. That's a win.
W. It's W.
Yeah. And you handcuffed your running back, although Mason's going to be around. And like, here's the thing that I always remind you guys of in Dynasty. Running backs are the least valuable players. The change at running back happened so swiftly in this league that, and no pun intended with DeAndre Swift, but like things just happen with running backs so much more drastically. But this is a good trade. This is fine, perfectly
James
fine.
Cook 2 years ago was a top fantasy running back. He is no longer playing football.
Dalvin Cook.
Dalvin, excuse me.
Yeah.
One of them Cooks.
His little brother is playing, but
James Cook is playing and good.
But like, I mean, you could name a ton of running, like James Robinson. Where is he? I mean, even look at like Rachaad White, like just slowly being filtered out of that offense. I mean, he's still relevant.
He's still getting his touch. Like they figured out they can support 2 running backs in that offense now.
But it's just, especially in super flex leagues, like it's quarterback, wide receivers, and most dynasty leagues are tight end premium. Tight end running back kind of close there because tight end's easier to kind of secure, but running back just changes so swiftly that, especially
Todd Gurley, guys. Todd Gurley. He was the number 1 fantasy player for like 2 years in a row, then had a bad year and was like out of the NFL.
Yeah. We could sit here for an hour.
Yeah, forever.
Yeah. But also, if you're contending, I think Garando's more valuable. Breece Hall is not. Everyone's doom and gloom on Breece Hall. He'll be okay. Chargers or Chiefs defense?
Chiefs are horrible fantasy defense, guys.
I'm so tired of talking about the Chiefs defense in fantasy. Chargers. But even then, the Chargers don't have a good schedule, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Chiefs, Buccaneers. They have the Broncos, Mr. Bo Lever, and then the Patriots in Week 17 is a great matchup.
We'll take that at least. New Orleans defense against the Giants or Miami, or keep Seattle. I do like Seattle, but I'll take the upside with New Orleans. Cinnabon, what's going on? Destroying everyone in all the leagues, as usual. I would expect nothing less.
It's probably cheating. But...
Yeah, Jacob, that trade, DK for Garando, I mean, it's very roster dependent. Very roster dependent. And I don't know, I just want to throw DK away, even if I don't want to start him per se. Kincaid or Laporta? I'll go Laporta. I'm out on Kincaid. J-Dubs, I'm lower on Depot than DK. I mean, that's fair. That's fair. Bucky or Myers at flex this week? Bucky. It's still Bucky.
Bucky's going to win you your league, guys.
But I'm very high on Myers. I love his matchup, but it is still Bucky. Start Caleb or Goff? I'll go Caleb. J-Dub's looking for streaming options at quarterback that have some upside in the fantasy playoffs. Have Stroud in one league, and he's been inconsistent with a low floor. Aiden O'Connell, Will Levis. I'm not even kidding. Those are your options that should be available. And seriously, those are the 2 strongest strength of schedules for quarterbacks. Cooper Rush has an okay schedule too. But let me know he's available. We can look at it. First fantasy league, will T play in the playoffs? Yeah, I mean, it's really easy to say, like, if the Bengals are eliminated, that Burrow, Chase Brown, and Higgins aren't going to play. But, like, it's basically unheard of if they're all healthy for, like, those players to just not play.
T's the one that's going to sit out with, like, any little injury because he is in the contract year. Jamar Chase, people will be like, he's not in a contract year. Jamar Chase is in a contract year. Yeah. He will not play a snap of football without a new contract next year. He's going to put up as much numbers as he possibly can to throw up as many zeros on that contract as he can. Yeah. So Jamar Chase is going to rack it up, boys.
Yeah, the only thing that could happen with Higgins is if he's hurt. And really, I think that goes for any of them. Like, and that goes for a lot of teams kind of down. Like, I'm actually like a little bit surprised about CeeDee Lamb. Like, he's had the opportunity to go on IR if he wants to. Like if Trevor Lawrence plays, like I'm kind of surprised, but there's a lot more at stake for these players and their respective teams and in the locker room and all this stuff that we don't think about that these guys are going to play. But I do agree. Higgins is literally in a contract year and he's already has a history of, oh my
Injury.
gosh,
Yeah,
my
injuries.
quad.
Oh no, mid game, I'm out.
Yeah. But if he's healthy, I think he plays. Plus, like this is probably Higgins last year at the Bengals, so
This
sometimes
is definitely Higgins last
yeah,
year with the Bengals.
yeah, they want to go out and play with their buddies. This guy's offering me Mixon and Herbert for Monty and Pollard. Should I accept it? Very roster dependent,
You
and
really
I'm
need a
assuming
quarterback.
yeah, like how bad do you need Justin Herbert? I mean, Monty's the RB9, so Mixon's great, but I think Mixon's RB like 7-ish.
But he's like RB1 when he plays. Like he's RB
Oh,
probably RB2 or 3 when he's played because he had those 2
yeah.
games he missed.
RB4 overall, so I'm wrong, but I mean it's still 5 spots of a difference. Like Pollard's been okay. I mean, not really down on Pollard by any stretch. He's got a good schedule. I'd probably just keep Monty and Pollard unless you're like, what you got Rodgers and Stroud at quarterback or something like. But even then, like we just talked about, really crappy quarterbacks who have good playoff schedules that you can probably pick up. So, I mean, Mixon's very tempting, but I probably just hold. Might depend on the roster. Drop Thielen for Garando. Sure. I mean, once again, like I like Thielen, but I just don't know outside of that Week 17 matchup when I would really feel confident to play him. But once again, like I think Garando's the guy here for the Niners, but we got to be careful here. Like, you just never know. It's a Kyle Shanahan system. Already signed Izzy. We don't really know what's going to happen here. I don't want you guys to like completely hinge your playoff teams on Isaac Garando. Could really work out. Don't get me wrong, but could also just be okay. Got an offer for my Monty for DK and Fryermuth in a 1 QB dynasty league. Should I take it? I'm out of the playoffs as of last week. Once again, it's going to be roster dependent. It's a fair swap here. Long term, the better investments are DK and Fryermuth. So it's probably worth taking if you're out of the playoffs. But it kind of still roster dependent, which you don't need to type out your full dynasty roster. I'm not going to make you do that. But if you feel good about it, I trust your judgment. I think it's fine. Oz, what's going on, man? Like and sub for the dub. Let's go. Number 1 senior division. Congrats. Good to see you, Oz. Santos, I have to start both BTJ and Jonnu. Where's that option? That option's fine. It's fine with me. Is Burrow and Chase going to... Okay, we don't need to go through this again. Laporta or Hawk? I think Hawk for the floor, Laporta for the upside. Like I think the floor is pretty similar. Laporta might give me more upside, but I do think this could be a big Hawkinson week.
Everything's going to Johnny Munt.
I was about to say, isn't Oliver back this week?
I don't know. I have to look at we'll look at the practice thing. He didn't practice. He hasn't practiced yet in 2 weeks. So who knows? They like, Johnny Munt got his touchdown. They're okay with both guys, I guess.
Johnny Munt. They both have good matchups this week. So I mean, it's touchdown dependent. Hawk, I think we'll see better volume, but who knows? I have Bree. Should I pick up Allen? Probably. Won't hurt you. Is Mooney a good start this week? He's fine, Jacob, but he's just boomer bust flex. Depends on what you got. The Vikings are not good against receivers for as good as they are. But I feel like it's going to be a bigger Drake London day, but who knows? Mooney, I mean, has Mooney really been like that good?
He had the 2 Buccaneers games. That's about it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. He had the big game against Philly, then a good game against Dallas, and a good game against New Orleans. So that's a good game against Kansas City. So 6 games. Yeah.
Cousins might die, guys. Like,
he does
I
have
think
a
we're
good
gonna see
match.
Kyle. We're gonna see Kyle Pitts this week. It's gonna be Kyle Pitts and Bijan checkdowns all game.
Now Kyle Pitts, I don't know about.
Unless Mooney is the check down guy, then yeah, he's gonna have a great game.
You
Whoever the
think?
check down, like Cousins is only gonna be able to check it down.
Huh.
Minnesota's gonna kill him. We're going to kill him. We hate
Well, that I
him.
believe. I'm just very concerned about Kyle Pitts right now.
Yeah,
But I get your
I mean,
point.
if he's not a check down, if Mooney is the other check down, like I expect Bijan to catch 1,000,000 passes out of the backfield.
Yeah, Bijan and London are the only guys I have faith in, but Mooney's always one of these guys. Like, you can start him, but be cautious. Addison or B Tom? I'm probably still leaning B Tom. Everyone, I mean, B Tom was good last week. I know it was mainly at the end of the game, but he was still good. You can't take it away from him. Chubb or Garando? I mean, Garando's got the better matchup. I just always get a little cautious. We're going right into a running back fresh off waivers. Like, think Carson Steele, Samaje Perine earlier in the year. I mean, you just gotta be careful here. But Chubb is fine if you want to go Chubb. But Garando has the matchup. If not Laporta, flex, Debo, MVS, or Warren. I mean, I like me some MVS every single week. He'll probably score a touchdown. So, I mean, I guess at some point he won't, but
or maybe he scores one the rest of the season every week.
The Giants are in the middle. I mean, 14th against receivers. It's not as good of a matchup as he's had recently, but
he just has no volume. He has zero volume.
But I mean, Nick Westbrook-Keating has no volume. We see this happen. But yeah, I mean, like, why aren't the Saints throwing more? They have like 3 offensive players. What do they even do? I mean, I'll put it this way: I would rather start MVS or Warren over Depot right now. It's a weird season. Arizona or Bucks defense? Arizona. Still strong for Romo. McLaughlin and Bass are available.
Romo may not play this week. That's 50-50. Will Reichard might be back off the IR.
Ooh. So probably McLaughlin, right?
Yeah, Chase. I would just go Chase.
Yeah.
I don't ever endorse Viking kickers ever.
Yeah, we know that.
They're gonna miss. He missed last week.
Has Bass been good? Not really. I mean,
he's been okay. I mean, he killed me. I thought he was gonna be fine in the snow. He missed the one late kick in that game, but McLaughlin's been really kind of good this year.
Yeah, I'll go McLaughlin too.
Especially since it's a decent matchup.
Higgins to the Pats in the offseason. Could definitely happen. I think the Chargers going to probably make a move, I would hope. Nothing against Ladd, but
both those teams need receivers.
Yeah. I guess the Steelers want one, or the Browns. I'm trying to think all the teams that tried to trade earlier.
Who's got money?
Who's
going to have money?
Yeah, I mean, Higgins has had a great year when he's healthy. If he was healthy all year, he'd be top 10 in fantasy. Browns, Bengals, Cowboys, Panthers, Falcons, Raiders, Rams are the only options I have for defense this week. Yeah.
Yikes.
That's not good. I'm not starting the Bengals. I am not starting the Cowboys. I'm not starting the Panthers. I'm not starting the Falcons. I'm not starting the Raiders.
It
I'm
would have to be the
definitely not starting the
Browns.
Rams.
It has to be the Browns
I
then.
think it has to be the Browns, who just gave up a tremendous amount of yardage. The Browns on the road against the Steelers, and in the early slate, the Saints aren't out there, or the Titans.
What's
I would start the Dolphins, like, and hedge against Aaron Rodgers, or I'd even start the Bucks over the Raiders. Start the Bears. I'd start the Chargers over any of these teams. We play the Chiefs this week.
yeah, weather's good in Pittsburgh, so we're not gonna get another snow.
Hawks or Cardinals. That's it. Yeah, I guess the Browns. But yeah.
Yeah.
I can't argue for any of these other teams. Can't. If the Rams were against a bad team, maybe. But
Yeah, they're playing the Bills. Bills. That's the problem.
no thanks.
Yeah, the Rams have at least like sack upside, but not against the Bills.
Oz, you have to drop Ravens or Commanders. I mean, you can drop either of these teams.
The Ravens are not a good defense.
Yeah. James, I'd rather have AOC looking at the fantasy playoffs. Bauer's going to win your leagues. Bauer's probably already winning your league, but he's going to probably break Puka's reception record.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And everyone, like, after last year's like, no one's going to break this for like years. You know, it's like, well, Brock Bowers.
That's about the one good thing we could say about Antonio Pierce. Just throw it to Brock. He's the only good person we have on the team. Throw it to him.
Have the top two tight end prodigies of the last 2 years. But Michael Mayer is somewhere. James, I feel like you drafted a lot of AOC and Underdog too in the Underdog drafts. I missed draft season. All right, guys, we'll start wrapping it up over the next couple minutes as we get through the bottom of the chat here. Jay Dollars, Purdy, Russ, Geno, Stafford, or Jameis? Jameis. Yeah. Jameis or Russ? One of those two, whoever you like better. Debo, Rico, Jones, and White, pick 2. I'll go Dowdle and Rashad White. Who should I put in my flex? 12-man, full PPR, Debo or Connor? Connor. Should I trade K9 and someone else thrown in for Myers? Really depends on your roster. I'm not completely out on Kenneth yet.
Their old line is so bad, though. They can't run the football.
Bad. Yeah, and Charbonnet got like goal line touches. I mean,
yeah, he gets the touchdown.
Yeah, it kind of depends. Like, I mean, are you going to be okay without Kenneth? You need Myers? Sure. Should I start Geno or Darnold? Darnold. Darnold for sure. For sure. Great matchup for Darnold this week. QB8. Todd, thank you for hanging out. Thank you for your fantasy questions. We are happy to help. Why Arizona over Bucks? I mean, because I don't trust the Bucks. Like, I just don't. I mean, they have an opportunity, but Aiden O'Connell looked really good this past week, and their defense has just been bad. Like, they played well against Tommy DeVito, Derek Carr early in the season, and somehow against the Eagles early in the season. But I know I talked about them in the video, but I'm kind of stepping back because O'Connell was not bad this past week. And yeah, I mean, they're just not a great defense. They moved up a little bit against the run, but like they're a bad defense against quarterbacks and receivers. So Arizona has had 9 or more points in 4 straight games and double digits in 3 out of the last 4. 12 the last time they played Seattle. So I'd rather go Arizona. T-Man at the bottom of the chat. Sit to Adams, Rico, Jennings, Garando, Judy. I'm not sitting Judy. It's bad juju. I would. Oh, you guys sit 2. I'd sit Jennings. Ooh. Probably just Jennings and Garando. If not, it's Jennings and Adams. But I'd start Rico and Judy for sure. But yeah, I was a little down on the the Niners right now. But thank you for the super chat. Hopefully that helps. Definitely start Rico and Judy. Adams is probably still got to be in there. So yeah, I'd set the Niners players. Smokey, what's going on? 0.26 points in the Catch Fam League. Oh, did you beat me?
Must have.
You probably we did. I think we faced each other in one of the leagues.
I wouldn't be chatting if I had lost. I would just be bitter.
Yeah, that's some bad loss. Oh, I beat you, Smokey.
Oh,
That was a
Smo.
big. Oh, the Superflex League. That was a big one too. Oh my gosh, I did beat you by 0.86 or 2.26. How did I do? Dang, I started Devon Vele too,
Oh, that's yeah.
and Tank Dell, and K-Dot.
Oh, Tank
And
Dell
I
was
had
so
Jameis. I had
bad.
Jameis on the bench.
No.
Oh no. Good game, man. I needed that. You're still number one in the league, I believe. So sit one this week. Cook, Irving, Brown, Pickens. Oh God. I mean, I don't want to. I mean, obviously, you don't want to sit any of these guys, but I mean, Cook gets the Rams. Great matchup. Bucky, great match. I'm not ever benching Bucky. I mean, the Raiders have actually moved up. They're 16th against running backs. It's much better than where they've been. But I'm oh gosh, the Panthers are not as bad against receivers as you think. They're 11th against this position. Pickens has a great matchup. The Browns have moved back to 29th after last night. Well, I don't want to bench AJ Brown. I never bench AJ Brown. He has been kind of playing at a lower ceiling, and Saquon and Hurts are doing everything, and mostly Saquon. Chat, let us know, who'd you guys sit? Cook, Irving, Brown, or Pickens? I mean, there's not really a bad start here. That is tough. What fantasy football hot takes you guys have? I mean, it's kind of hard to make a hot take at this point in the season. Bucky Irving will have more points in the fantasy playoffs than Derrick Henry.
Yeah. There's a guess.
Should I roll with Love over Kyler? We talked about this earlier. They're like neck and neck for me this week. You can go Love. He's good this week. I don't think you need to pick anyone up off. I mean, all these guys are good. All these guys are good this week, but I roll Love or Kyler this week. It's a 14-team league. Everyone has two defenses. Why?
Oh,
It's so bad.
that's that is the definition of toxic right there.
Yeah, that's tough, bro. Maybe someone will drop one due to the bye week, and that'll help you. I think I'd rather start any defense than those defenses.
What those are literally the bottom tier the bottom defenses in order.
Smokey clinched 2 or 3 bye weeks in home leagues, hoping the Bengals players keep playing at a decent level now that they don't have much to play for. They're still in it right now. They'll be fine. We talked about it tonight, but good for you, Smokey. Oh, are we selling Garando high with the Mason news? 100%. Yeah. If in Dynasty, yeah, 100%. I mean, anytime you can sell a running back high in Dynasty, basically, I mean, outside of like, a player playing like Barkley or, but a situation like this, yeah. And redraft, I don't think that's what you're asking, but redraft, sure. Why not? But you can't trade in redraft for most of you. So yeah, Dynasty, yes. Brooks or McLaughlin. I mean, McLaughlin did get more touches this past week, but he'll probably get like one next week. I'd probably just take a chance on Jonathan Brooks. Mr. Sarcastic has no QBs for week 14 in the Catch Fam Super Flex League. Tough sledding. Isn't he like out of it? Anyways. Yeah, he's tanking, so I think he'll be
okay.
don't think he'll care. Unless it's the other league. If he's in both. Oh, Broncos are on bye. That's a good call. J-Dub sitting Pickens. I am not sitting Pickens. But that, I mean, honestly, you could argue it any way there. You want to sit Pickens? I'm not. I mean, I will say this. The Browns are playing better against their number one wide receivers that they face. Like Sutton was fine, but like they kind of locked him up in the red zone and everything. So maybe it's a lower ceiling week. But I mean, Sutton still at 16 points this past week. But
Pickens is a crazy person. He'll do something. Okay, he'll do something.
I mean, he is angry about that last game. Denzel Ward. I mean, he's a good corner one. So, but yeah, you could argue that anyway. That's fine. Tyler, thank you for being here. Thank you for the questions. Oh, the super flex. Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at the Dynasty League. I was like, what? He'll be okay. He doesn't care. Oh, but I get what you're saying. Do I play him this week? No, I play Senior Cinnabon. Dang it. I need to win. I'm 8. Oh my gosh, that league is wide open. Oh my goodness. Oh, he's just the highest score, not number 1. Okay, well then I'm glad because we have, oh my God, we have a 6 and 7 team, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, and 6 teams. 1, 2, 3, 8 and 5 teams, but make that 4 8 and 5 teams because Smokey's gonna be 9 and 5. No. This is already adjusted, so he's 9 and 4. I was like, wait, that doesn't make sense. So 1 9 and 4 team, 3 8 and 5 teams, a ton of 7 and 6 teams. Wow. And I got to win this week with Jaden Daniels on bye, but I got Jameis Winston, baby.
Yeah.
I got to play Senior Cinnabon, of course. That is going to be a really fun league to see wrap up, and I will probably lose. Connor Pollard, I'll go Pollard against the Jags. Yeah, Russ does spread the ball a bit, but Calvin Austin's a little banged up, which I think hurts that. But once again, that's a tough decision there. I'm at least 8 and 5 in all the redraft catch leagues. Can't wait to be in the Superflex week this week, John, and hopefully move in the first place. Yeah, might happen. We'll see. Just talk about that. McLaughlin or McPherson? Probably McLaughlin, right? I would lean. I lean McLaughlin there. McPherson kind of hard to trust. What do you think about starting Williams and Allen as they are both going against San Fran? That's fine. I'm not scared about San Fran. I'm just not. Any advice on Chiefs kickers? Bucker's still out. If so, Wright or Schrader or ride Ryland?
I don't know if Schrader's going to play. Wright was fine last week. Chiefs are bad in the red zone, so that's starting to help. Like, if they're going to keep being this terrible, I want to play a Chiefs kicker because they're not kicking far field goals. I like Chad Ryland. Missed a kick last week. But I also say don't play kickers against the Vikings because they got some voodoo magic going on in Minnesota, a place where nobody could miss. Now nobody can make – everybody misses one kick there. So I like Chad Ryland. He's fine. But, yeah, I'd go with either of the Chiefs kickers. We just don't know who it's going to be this week.
Need a defensive streamer. Kansas City, Tennessee, Tampa Bay, Chargers. I go Tennessee, then Tampa Bay. I don't like Kansas City, LA Chargers this week. That matchup doesn't seem good, but it might be surprising. Would it be crazy to flex Disley this week? I mean, it's not crazy, but it definitely depends on who else you got, Teddy. He's got a good matchup, but he's coming off a goose egg. Why so much hate for Addison, Jennings, and Goff? I mean, Addison, I think, is fine, but he's just really risky. He does have a good matchup, so he's a boomer bust flex option. But you look, Addison, let's look since week 8, 4.2, 16.1, 4.9, 15, 30, 9.4. I mean, he's a risky flex, but I do think it's a good week, a good matchup for him. Jennings, I'm like, it's just the Niners right now. Like, I mean, he's had 9 or less points in 2 straight games, and he has had 2 bad matchups, but this is another bad matchup against the Bears this week. And I don't think Purdy's fully healthy. And then Goff, I mean, Goff has just not been good. I mean, he ranks high,
Yeah.
but he has 4 games with 18 or more points. Every other game is 16 or less points. He just has 3 pretty high scoring games, 34, 25, 27. Then a 18-point game in week 7. Every other game, like it's been low. And like you look since week 8, 15, 9, 12, 34, 10, 16. And then it's a bad matchup. But I do like the potential game script for Goff this week, but it's like Goff is very difficult to trust fantasy wise. Those are my reasonings. All right, guys, that'll do it for the night. Finally got to the bottom of the chat. So make sure you guys hit the like on the way out. We have start sits at running backs and wide receivers out. Start sits for quarterbacks, tight ends will drop probably right at midnight. I need to clear out a ton of comments. I'll get to as many as I can on the videos this week. Must-start defenses are out. Waivers are out. If you guys want to check those before you put in your final waiver claims, we will have a ton more content coming out this week. Pete's kickers rankings will drop tomorrow. We'll have must-start players. We'll have sneaky starts. We'll have last-minute waiver ads. We'll have all kinds of stuff. And yeah, we'll have another great week before we get into the fantasy playoffs. So great stream tonight. Thank you guys for all the fantasy questions. We're over 2 hours, so that'll do it. And good luck to you guys this week if I don't talk to you, if we don't talk to you. But continue to check out the content this week. Drop us some likes, drop us some comments. If you guys have questions, hit us in the comments section. Pete, I'll let you say bye. We'll get out of here.
All right, guys. Last week, let's get it done. Lock up those playoff spots. If the season is already over, cause some chaos, wreak some havoc, ruin somebody's season. Let's get it done. Be sure, kickers dropping out tomorrow. Quarterbacks and tight ends also coming out like tonight. So be sure to check all that stuff out for us. And yeah, let's get it done.
Okay, very quickly. No Daniels, go Kyler. Yeah, I go Kyler. But the other 2 are fine. Good to see you, Jelly. And we'll end the stream with the super chat. Thank you, Smokey. Having a fancy year, just like my Steelers. Let's go. Also, TD parlay, JJ Pickens, Gibbs, Kamara. That's fine. It's a little risky.
Yeah, it's very risky. JJ doesn't score a touchdown.
Yeah. The other, like even Gibbs and Kamara, a little risky, but they're probably fine. Pickens actually like the best due to matchup here, but he's also risky and he just scored. Sometimes I get worried if the player scored the week before. I gotta get a little worried about.
Except Westbrook Akine, he's gonna score.
Except for him, Henry,
and MBS,
and MBS,
and
yes.
Saquon,
and Saquon. Yeah. Thank you for the super chat, Smokey. Seahawks or Chargers rest of season? Seahawks. Thank you guys for hanging out tonight. Thank you for all the fancy questions. With that, we'll say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, you saw it here on The Catch. And peace.